You ever been at the top of the universe? I'm gonna take you.
So what's happening, fam? L.A.R. movement still moving. Subscribe or die trying. You see the thumbnail, right? So just stop making other people part of your plan. So I had to have this conversation where we were talking about how there are people in the world who don't have a support system, and there are people in the world who do. And one of the things that I can say about people who have a support system is they have a tendency to make other people a part of their plan. So whether they're going to do something or whether they're not going to do something, there's always somebody that, you know what, I can get such and such. And, they'll do it. So I know if I don't do it, I know this person to do it. And just being that inconsiderate to think part of your plan is to get somebody else to do something for you that you aren't capable of doing for yourself, or you're just unwilling to do for yourself, is a problem. And the unfortunate part about that is these are the same people who wouldn't do anything for that same person. So it's a horrible idea. I think about this old 50 Cent clip when he was like, I didn't have anybody go home and get somebody. So it was no use to me for me to go home. Like, who am I going to go get? Myself? And for all the people who grew up and it's like, I'm going to go get my big brother. I'm going to go get my big sister. I'm going to go get my cousin. I'm going to go get, I'm going to call my mom. I'm going to call my dad. Y'all don't think about the people who don't have anybody to call like that, and how for some odd reason they're supposed to drop it all for you. And it's two different mentalities. Now I grant like I own something when it comes to a conversation, but I get that people who have a support system are better at networking. They're better at having a team around them because they're accustomed to it. But I also get that, they're not as good as handling business. They're not as good as handling their business on their own. It's always somebody else has to do this and has to do that. They're not hands-on. And that's part of the problem. When part of your life plan is to have everybody else be hands-on with your life, it doesn't seem like you're very responsible. It doesn't seem like you're really taking the bull by the horns. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of times there are a lot of people in life who are really aggravating because part of their plan, Joji, stop it. That's my dog. That's why I'm out in the backyard. There are a lot of people in life who, for some odd reason, they believe their entitlement is just over 9,000. Dragon Ball reference, right? Because they're accustomed to always having somebody. Part of what I've talked about previously was, me being in Generation X, how a lot of our grandparents raised us. And what we don't want to, a lot of people don't want to discuss is that ideology, and this is part of why people don't like, quote, the baby boomers. That ideology is, my grandparents raised my parents, and they raised me. Who did my parents raise? And guess what? I can't just dump my kids off on my parents because wasn't raised like that by my grandparents, for one. And for two, they've been so accustomed to somebody else doing the heavy lifting, they still haven't reached the stage of actually being responsible enough to make a sacrifice for another human being. So you'll leave your child in the custody of somebody who's really still selfish, which creates a whole nother problem, right? And because, I had a conversation years and years ago. I got a dish, everybody has a dishwasher. And I remember me and my dad got into it because he wasn't washing dishes. And he had to live with me for a time. I'm like, man, wash the damn dishes. And he was like, well, because of my mama washing the dishes. I'm like, dude, you left grandma's house when you was like 18 years old. And at the time, he was like 56. So I was like, I don't even want to hear that. You get what I'm saying? Cut it out. You accustomed to. So what you been doing the rest of your adult life? You know, you wasn't living nowhere near, you know, your mother, my grandmother, for the better part of 30 plus years. So you didn't wash dishes the whole time? But I say that to say this, you know, when you're accustomed to, you know, you got people who are accustomed to, I can mess this up because I always got a support system. You know, we was talking about that with people with educations. Like, there are people who fail in school because they're lazy, but they pass because they're crying to teachers. You know, oh, I can't do this. My family's going to kill me, da-da-da-da-da. You know, oh, my God, they're going to cut me off, and I don't know what I'm going to do, and I'm going through a depression. And there was always somebody who was supposed to help. The teacher was supposed to give you a passing grade. Your parents were supposed to, you know, give you the time to grow up, even though you're grown by now. You know, that became a norm to the point where you got a lot of adults who got crippled by their families and who crippled themselves, but they sure know how to do grown stuff when it comes to partying, though. And what that does is they have a culture shock when they interact with other adults who are hands-on and handle their own business. And it's like, you know what I'm going to do? My plan is to get with somebody like you so I can still be childish. And that's not going to work at all. So since you want to make everybody else part of your plan, understand there are people who are making sure you're not a part of theirs. And there's nothing you can do about that. They're not going to allow it in their life. And they're not going to allow you in their life to do it. So when you have a culture shock and a mental breakdown and you can't believe how cold the world is because nobody's going to jump and do stuff for you that you don't do for you, that's a you problem. But I'm out on this one. Like, share, subscribe, or die. Try and catch you on the next one. Peace.